Need Renedy. Hey, it's me. You're right. Okay, no worries. Perfect. I just want to make sure you had the link and everything. Cool. All right. Cool, Shirley. Bye. I think you're on mute, Marcus. I think I might have you have to unmute yourself. There we
How's
go.
that?
Perfect.
Oh,
Ha, fantastic.
just made it.
Nice. No speeding tickets, no?
Oh, it was a shit journey. The rain was just
Oh,
absolutely
wicked.
teeming down all the way. You know, one of those
Oh,
horrendous motorway journeys.
Yeah, we've had a few. It's been like spitting really today. It's not been too heavy, but yeah, I imagine it was. They said it was gonna be further worse as you went further up north. So
It's grim up north,
yeah, usually is.
but it's not raining here. It's not.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, I don't really know Leeds. I haven't been to Leeds really before. I've had no reason to come here, so it's all very new and confusing place as well. It's all one-way systems.
Yeah, it's a nightmare when you get in the city centre. I've been up there a few times with a few franchise owners and what have you. So yeah, it's not ideal. You've not been to Headingley before, no?
No, never.
No. It's a good day out actually. We went for a friend's stag do a couple of years ago. It was good crack. I don't remember a huge amount, but yeah, apparently it was a good day.
So, did you get any more questions?
Yeah, only one came through, but yeah, we won't be using it. It was basically if I wanted to start, what do I have to do? So not very specific. So hopefully we'll cover it in the other discussion, in the other bits, and if not, I can always pick up with him directly. So yeah, so we'll stick with what we got, and then we'll see if we get anyone. Well, first of all, we'll see if anyone joins us. There's been a couple that I've seen pop up and then disappeared again. So hopefully they'll be back just before 4. And then
Fine. Okay.
we're good to go. So yeah, so in terms of the slides, there's this one. There's the one in introduction to Molly Maid, which I'll just run through. Then there's introduction to you, and then there's the question slide, and then we'll go into those questions where we can just to and fro through a few of them, and then at the end we'll just open it up and just see if anyone's got anything that they wish to ask, and then we will finish up.
Fine. It's not the nicest background, but I have closed the toilet door.
Yeah. We have got two in the waiting room, so that's good. Yeah, the Premier Inns, they're not the most aesthetically pleasing, but they're very practical and get the job done, don't they?
Well, I had it the other way with the old blue light behind the bed, but I was so dark. And it's like,
So you do it with you on the bed, but you sprawled on the bed. But
and I've tried to move this light next to me, but it's screwed down.
That's because of the usual caliber of clientele, I would guess.
Yeah, we're directly opposite the first arena, so obviously it's all for gigs and people like that.
Yeah, sure. So you off out for dinner tonight, are you?
We are. We're going to go and have a couple of drinks somewhere, and then we're off out for dinner, and then we'll head back around about 10ish tomorrow, I think.
Oh, nice, cool. So you're not being dragged to the student union, no?
No, this is a bit different. The university is so spread out here.
Okay.
It's not like other places I've been to. It's all over the city.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Bournemouth's a bit like that as well. Actually, they've got different parts of the campus spread around. So
yeah, Bournemouth's great though because Callum's down. I love it. We go out there quite a lot, and I know my way around because it's really small and nice. But up here, it's just another city, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Right. I'm not sure how, because I'm sharing my screen. I'm not sure if they're going to see you as well or not. So,
well, the way I've got it is I see you and I see the screen.
Oh, okay, perfect. Well, hopefully that's what they'll see then as well.
So I think what might happen is they might pop up on the right-hand side like we are, but if they're not got a camera, they'll just be blank. I think.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not so much worried about seeing them. It's more just so they can see us. That's the main thing.
You put a lot of trust in me, Aaron, to answer these questions because you've got no idea what I'm going to say.
That's fine, Marcus. That's the whole point of having the trust.
This could be an experience you remember for the rest of your life.
Indeed. Well, including Colleen, there's 2 others at the moment. So what I think usually what happens is that people will kind of join, not necessarily bang on 4. So, but what I'll do is I'll try and Jonathan had that issue yesterday with the call and people joining after. And you then got to and fro between admitting them and trying to skip through the slides. So, but we'll try our best to.
You kind of always got to give. You've got to give 3 or 4 minutes, I'm afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, look, we're all already quite. There's another 2 that have joined. So,
I mean, that call yesterday. Do you know what? For such a big change for the company and for each individual, there was 18 franchise owners on it.
Yeah,
I just don't get it. I don't get it. And if anyone moans about it, good luck to them.
And they didn't join the call, then yeah.
They had ample opportunity. I mean, some will be caught up, but you know what? There's just some who just don't, I don't know, don't want to be part of it, which is fine. Oh, God. How many are you up to?
7.
Okay.
It's quite good. So it is 4 o'clock. I'm just going to tell them all. We're just going to give 2 extra minutes. Eight. Ooh.
What do you usually get? What's the standard number?
Well, we've had in the previous ones, I think the max we've had is like 7, I think. So with Colleen on there, we're already up to there's 8 so far. So
Colleen, we've got a guest appearance.
Guest appearance, Colleen I've said to her no surprise questions, Colleen. So
I recognise her accent.
She does a lot of the initial calls to new franchise owners. So I think she just felt it'd be good for her just to kind of see it. So
good idea. Good idea.
Yeah. Right, I'll start in 1 minute, just so that any of those that we've got, we don't end up losing. And if anyone else joins after that, I'll
yeah.
Right, I'll go. I'll let them in, Marcus, and we can rock and roll.
Yeah, let's go.
So good afternoon and welcome to our franchise owner Q&A session. So thank you for joining. Over the next kind of 15 to 20 minutes, we'll have the opportunity to ask one of our leading franchise owners about his experience of being part of the most recognised brand in home cleaning. Obviously, I've muted everyone to start with, so that you can listen to the next kind of 15 minutes. But actually, at the end, there will be the opportunity to ask some questions yourself. So at that point, I'll give you the opportunity to turn your microphone on, and then you'll be able to ask those questions yourself. No need to put cameras on unless you particularly want to. Obviously, myself and Marcus will have ours on. But yeah, so thank you very much. Without further ado, we shall crack on. So yeah, for those of you, just a kind of brief introduction to Maid. We are the UK's #1 home cleaning franchise. We've been operating for nearly 40 years. We're the highest ranked home cleaning franchise within the EF 100, so that's the Elite Franchise Top 100, which runs every year. As well as that, and I think probably one of the things that we're most proud of is that for the last 3 consecutive years, 4 years in total, we have won the 5-star Franchise Satisfaction Award. Now that's something that is kind of voted for anonymously from our franchisees. It's based on their feedback about our support to them So that's something that, yeah, we're hugely proud of. The model is very much built on regular recurring revenue, and that 95% of our sales actually comes from customers having a clean weekly, fortnightly, and monthly. So that's one of the really kind of strong assets of our business model. I guess one of the other things that's really good is the kind of the strong cash flow. Our cleans are paid either in advance of the clean or on the day. So the idea is that you've got the money in your account before you have to pay any of your bills, which is a really nice position to be in. And then finally, I guess, something that we're seeing so much of at the moment is the demand continues to boom. And that's been something that we've been experiencing over the last kind of 18 to 24 months, really. And obviously that means that, franchise owners have been able to achieve kind of record sales levels because of that booming demand. And that's not been suppressed by any of the kind of external factors impacting the country in terms of cost of living. So, and that's usually one of the questions that I get first asked at the moment is has that impacted? And no, it certainly hasn't. So, so that's something I think is really important to emphasize. So kind of coming on to our guest today, Marcus Oriel. He joined with his wife Caroline in the autumn of 2019. He bought a resale franchise in St Albans and Harpenden. And since then, they've just had a fantastic been fantastic operators, and they've seen some brilliant growth. Sales in 2022 grew a massive 30%. And in just the first quarter of this year, it's up by over 26% again. What does that equate in terms of sales? Well, that's over £12,000 in weekly sales, and annualized, that's over £600,000 in the year. So, obviously that's a fantastic business. And in terms of like the average price of cleans, that's grown 17% as well. So yeah, really strong in terms of sales. And part of that is the volume of cleans they do, but a big part of that is the pricing as well. So yeah, let's welcome Marcus. Thank you for joining us, Marcus.
Yeah, no problem. Hi.
So obviously I mentioned that you joined back in the autumn of 2019, and yes, it was never always an aspiration of yours to have your own, cleaning business. But why did you decide when you wanted to have a business? What made you start to look at Molly Maid?
Prior to Molly Maid, I was in an IT company for 21 years. So it was again service based. And like many people within a company, I always had aspirations to be my own boss and work for myself. So about a year prior, so 2018, I went to a franchising exhibition down in Earls Court, and I kind of got a flavour and an idea of, I kind of like the idea of this is what I could do. So there was a period of time at the company whereby we had a discussion. I thought, you know what, it's time for me to move on. So I thought franchising is the way forward. At the time, though, I didn't actually know what franchise it was I wanted to do. So I looked around, I looked at the various other options, and the one that kept drawing me back really was Molly Maid. It wasn't dissimilar to what I did before. It was a service-based industry, dealing with customers, I'm delivering an outcome. So I saw an advert in the local paper. So I spoke to, I made the call and I spoke to Aaron. So I had a conversation with Aaron. So I thought I'd go down and meet him. I've got nothing to lose. So I went down and met you, Aaron, with myself and Caroline.
Yeah.
And we had a chat. And we kind of took it from there, really. And I had 1,001 questions, and I was probably there hours and hours, but there was nothing that you wouldn't answer. So I did explore others, but actually it was probably Molly Maid that felt right for me. It was in my area, the biggest in the industry. It'd been there for 25 years. So it felt right for me. The match was right.
Fantastic. So, I mean, you touched upon there that initially you'd gone to one of the franchise shows, which is great. Was there any other, part of what we do is we try and send you out information, but yeah, is there any other places that you'd looked, or was it purely just those areas?
So with regards to franchising, I had looked everywhere, and that's what gave me the appeal. I liked the idea of being backed by a brand rather than on my own. So that was a really selling point to me. I obviously done a lot of research on the internet. When I spoke to you, I had lots of questions. You put me in contact with other people who were actually doing it at the time. So I'd done a lot of due diligence. I did do a lot of research before I kind of made that decision that yes, this is for me.
Fantastic. So would if it was to ask you kind of three things that you would say was the kind of made it really crystallize that Molly Maid was the right opportunity, what would those three things be?
Ooh, I think reputation. I had spoken to a number of friends. Had they heard of Molly Maid? Everybody had heard of Molly Maid. Most people said, "Oh, it's the little blue cars." So it had a reputation. Again, when I've done my research, it's been around a number of years. This is not a company that's just started 2 or 3 years ago. It's been around 30 plus years. So, it has this longevity. And I think the other thing that really sold it for me was the support. From the moment I made that call into head office, I felt the support was there. And, I was going to have lots of questions, and I still do. So it was really those three things, really: the reputation, the longevity of the company, and the support.
Fantastic. I mean, I think, some of these questions that we're kind of asking now, these are things that typically I get asked from new franchise owners that are kind of going through the process. And I think, as well as some that we've had in from people that have joined us today, and which we'll come on to in a minute. But yeah, certainly, I think one of the most important things from our perspective is that research. And it's something that you've touched upon, is that, thoroughly researching, first of all, understanding what franchising is and the benefits of it. Obviously, my background prior to joining Molly Maid was in hospitality, and I hadn't really heard, been Molly Maid 15 years now, and I hadn't really heard much about franchising. But having been immersed in the franchising world for the last 15 years, I think it's a fantastic way to get into business because, you mentioned, Marcus, that you had more of a business background, but some people don't, and that's absolutely fine. I think that's what we're here for. Not only do we bring the brand, but we also have that kind of business and industry knowledge that which we help bring to new franchise owners. So, it's great that those things that you've picked up on. Obviously, you bought a resale business. Now, some of the people maybe on the call today are looking at it from a new franchise perspective. Are there any benefits that you can see from a new one that you didn't quite get with the resale?
Yeah, there definitely are. I think when I bought a resale, when we first went into it, I had certain ideas of how I wanted the business to be. And because it was a resale and because I bought it off an existing franchise owner, it took a while for me to kind of unpick certain things to be able to redo them the way I wanted. So that slowed down my kind of progress, really. So I think if you buy something new, you can get it right first time. You can kind of build it from the ground up. You can grow it at your pace, and you can put your mark down early. With the resale, it does take a little bit of time to turn it back to the way you want it, but with a new one, certainly you can build it at your pace, get things right first time, put your mark down early.
Brilliant. No, that's great. And again, I think I would, echo that from conversations with, with other franchise owners that have bought both new and started new and bought existing. But obviously the resale is great because it gives you those, those staff in place who are familiar with delivering the service, and it gives you that revenue and profit that's already there, which for some people is needed. But I think starting a new one definitely gives you the platform to be able to kind of set those your expectations, recruit the staff that you want in the business and the customers on the prices that you want, which I think is really really useful to be able to do that. Not to say that you can't unpick some of the bits that the previous done if you do a resale, which obviously you've done very successfully, but yeah, I think definitely some of those benefits are you've been able to set those standards for yourself right from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
So kind of, Marcus, tell me what a typical day is like for you. What does a typical day involve? Kind of when does it start, and what are the kind of main things that you're doing?
There's a question. So yeah. It's you put in the hours you want. It's your business. I mean, I start around about 7:30, 8 o'clock. That's purely out of choice. What I find is Molly Maid is an early business because it's about getting the teams out early, really. So we kind of start a bit earlier. There's myself, my wife, and we've got an office manager as well. So all our roles are slightly different. So, you know, the office manager will do the scheduling. So she'll schedule in the customers, she'll do customer interaction. Caroline, my wife, will do the customer visits. She'll follow up with inquiries. She'll go to day-to-day staff management. And I'll kind of do some quality checks there. I'll do finance management. I'll do training of staff, advertising and recruitment. So I've always described it as you're spinning many plates in the air at the same time. So a typical day is very, very varied. And as I always say, always expect the unexpected.
Yeah, no, I think that's some good advice. I mean, I think, you know, again, we talked to Marcus here, who's got a slightly bigger business, but I would definitely echo that from a new franchise owner perspective. I mean, the core activities that you would typically be focusing on is, when you first, you know, initially when you first wake up, it's managing any of those kind of staff phone calls. Make sure that you've got a team or the teams in to operate the business. It's then looking after any of those new inquiries that come in from customers. It's going out and doing the estimates and the quality checks. You know, so yeah, to say whilst Marcus has, you know, several people that do that within his business, obviously that's mainly due to the increased volumes that all those things that you have to do when you've got a business of, you know, £12,000 a week. But yeah, certainly when you start off as a new franchise owner and you've got just that first team, then obviously, you know, a lot of those are reduced, which means it is managed, you know, is easier to manage for one person. So that's kind of a day. You know, what are the kind of the weekly activities, obviously, aside from the bits you've already touched upon, what are the other things that you have to do?
I suppose it's just an expansion really of what you do on a day-to-day basis. So, you know, it is the planning of the customers and scheduling them in with the various teams, and you're doing that in advance. It is the planning of the staff on the various rotas, holidays, etc. It's ongoing recruitment, so that's an activity you'd always probably be doing. It's the financial management, again, because you're running your own business. It's the customer engagement, so new customers, speaking to them, trying to drum up new business, existing customers, speaking to them, ensuring they're happy with the quality, just reacting to the day-to-day activities, really. So it's all very structured, but very much the same as it is on a day-to-day basis, just probably a little bit more planning around it.
Yeah, perfect. And I mean, you know, some of those people that possibly have kind of, you know, haven't necessarily had the business experience and, you know, have kind of concerns over kind of managing the finances or the payroll and things like that. You've got people that can help you with that, not necessarily in your business, but outside of that.
Absolutely. So, you know, the payroll, the HR side of things, there's experts who look after that, all that are engaged via Molly Maid. So, you know, I'm no expert in HR, I'm no expert in payroll. So, you know, we have this outside company that look after that for us, which is exactly how it should be, because like I said, they are the experts.
Yeah, perfect. No, that's great. I mean, a couple of the things that, you know, Marcus just picked up on, you know, in terms of what we're looking for in terms of being a successful franchisee. You know, our most successful franchise owners are, you know, Marcus said about spinning those plates, but yeah, it is about being very well organized. It is about being kind of, you know, good communicators, both with customers and with staff. I think that's really important. And yeah, just a real hunger and enthusiasm to want to drive and grow a business. You know, those are the kind of the core things that tend to separate our kind of real top performers. You know, those are the ones that they kind of demonstrate on a daily basis. So obviously there's been a few challenges externally, both globally and you know, kind of more localized in the UK over the last couple of years, but how have they impacted the business?
It's just been a roller coaster really these last 3 years. We bought it before the world changed with the pandemic. So funny enough, it was 3 years ago this week that we closed, as every business did. But we working with head office really, and this is one of the massive benefits I found of buying a franchise, that if I was on my own, I'm not sure I'd have survived the COVID period. But because I was part of a franchise, we worked together to make sure that actually we came back quickly and we came back stronger. So that's such a massive selling benefit for me. But you know, but we've had the COVID crisis, we've had the energy crisis, the fuel crisis, the cost of living crisis. demand is still very, very strong. In fact, demand is probably stronger now than it was prior to all of this. In fact, the thing that's probably impacted us the most is Brexit. But the recent crisis is absolutely fine. We're bounced back well.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I mean, Mark has touched upon the kind of the COVID. I mean, I think, we had a temporary suspension of service like many businesses whilst they tried to assess and understand how they could operate safely. And especially for us going into customers' homes, that was obviously a very big thing to kind of overcome. But with our Home Safe brand and everything like that, I mean, we were only kind of temporarily suspended for about 5 weeks before the first franchise owners were back operating, which was phenomenal, really. And sales back, as Mark has mentioned, bounced back very quickly. With probably about 12 months when we were already back to the kind of the sales levels that we were at pre-COVID, and that growth continued. And I mean, I mentioned at the beginning, Marcus, with the kind of cost of living, but you would agree with that regardless of all those things that have gone on, demand has stayed just as strong, if not stronger.
I am, being totally honest, I am amazed that the demand continues to be as strong as it is. It seems like people who want to use Molly Maid aren't being affected by the cost of living crisis, which is wonderful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You touched upon Brexit there. I'm guessing that you're referring to the kind of the challenges that brought with the staffing side of it.
Yeah, a little so. There's no doubt with Brexit that some foreign nationals went back to their place of birth, and it has left a little bit of a hole from a staffing point of view that we're still trying to catch up on.
Yeah.
So, staffing will remain the biggest challenge, but I think, part of that is down to Brexit, but customer demand's there. It's just finding the sufficient and the right caliber of people to be able to service the customers.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that's something that we've worked very closely with franchise owners on. I mean, we introduced our Best Employer initiative, which is really promoting why Molly Maid is the best employer in the industry. And I think that's definitely allowed us to overcome some of those staffing challenges. And obviously that can change from day to day, week to week, as we know, but it definitely feels like that there is, there are more people out there that are wanting to work, and we've got that capacity to really allow us to keep growing at the moment.
Yeah.
I think someone's mentioned on one of the questions here about, how difficult is it to generate those inquiries and typically, those customer inquiries, and typically where are they coming from, Marcus? Again,
to my previous point, I am amazed at the demand that is still there. So, the main way that we look to advertise is via Google. So we have a number of ads via Google that's supported by head office. So that brings in a lot of interest. We do flyers to our local areas just through the post box. We do some local ads in local magazines. The girls who wear the uniforms when they're out and about often get stopped by people asking for a flyer or a card or something. But for us, where we are, one of our biggest ways of attracting customers is the cars. You have the cars that have logos on them, and the amount of demand that we get through people saying, "I've seen your car." So it's amazing. We're not struggling for customers. In fact, if anything, at the moment, we and I know another number of other franchise owners have waiting lists because of the demand that we've got.
Yeah. No, fantastic. I mean, I think that's definitely something that we've heard from others. One of the questions that I've just had coming through here, and I'll pick up on this, is about how much you can earn in the first year. And I think, for most new start businesses, typically we would expect year one to be break even. So we wouldn't necessarily expect to be making money in that first year, because the sales that are generated are covering those initial costs of starting up the business. I think one of the things that we have seen certainly is with the increased inquiry levels, as Marcus touched upon, we've seen those kind of forecasts for the sales in years 1, 2, and 3 significantly, increased. So those franchise owners that started in the last few years have been surpassing those year 1 and 2 targets, quite significantly. And with those increased sales levels, those franchise owners have been able to see some small profits at the end of the first year. So from kind of months 9, 10 onwards. But yeah, once you get to year 2, then profits should be kind of running at 8 to 10%. and then kind of 15 to 18%, once you kind of get into towards the end of year 2, beginning of year 3. Would that be, obviously, Marcus, you're much further ahead than the year 3, but would those kind of profit levels seem about right based on what your P&L would say?
Yeah, I think you're fair in what you've said. Also, some other franchise owners that I know who started new businesses as well in the last few years, in the last few tough years, are doing very well as well. Yeah. So I think you're spot on with what you said.
Perfect, thank you. You touched upon the challenges. I guess that comes down to recruitment. Would that be one of the biggest challenges, with running the business and managing the staff? I guess you'd probably say. Yeah,
I think, being totally honest, recruitment probably is the biggest challenge we face at the moment. It's not the case of recruiting; it's the case of recruiting the right people.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Someone's mentioned on here is do kind of we help with that recruitment side? I guess that's something you could probably.
So, Maid certainly help with generating interest. So via Facebook, assisting with the various platforms like Total Jobs, Indeed. But ultimately, as it's your business, you want to be recruiting yourself because the people you're recruiting are representing you. So generating individuals Maid will help with, but actually recruiting, training, and working with the individuals should be down to you as an individual yourself as a business owner.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's exactly what I would echo. I mean, we definitely help with that lead generation, whether that be through Facebook or whether that be through working with Indeed to try and help people to generate more more staff inquiries through that. But yeah, ultimately it's the franchise owner's responsibility for the actual kind of managing that interview process. Someone's mentioned about the training side of it, and yes, absolutely, we do help with the training. Again, it's done locally by the franchisee, but what we do is we provide you with all the training material. So we provide you with the training video and the company and workbook. So I think that's definitely something, as I say, it's done locally, but we provide you with all the tools to be able to do that. Someone else has asked about, do you get new starters who have to carry on with their current work until they start making a profit? I guess it's a tough one, really, because obviously we recognise that for some people to try and get through that first year whilst the business is growing is a challenging, whilst there's not necessarily making any money. I think the problem comes with that is that typically you find that if you're trying to do it alongside something else, you can't dedicate enough time to it. And that means then that you're probably not going to hit the levels that you want. So all that ends up doing is it just prolongs the time, it slows down the sales that you're able to generate and then prolongs the time in which it's going to take you to start making a profit. So whilst it might be good that you can still earn something from somewhere else, the business suffers. And we've seen, and the reason we say that is because we've seen that and we've tried and we've seen it in the past. So whereas that it might be kind of month 10, 11, 12 that you'd start making a profit if you're able to dedicate full time. We've seen franchise owners that kind of get to 18 months in and still aren't making a profit because they've been trying to do it alongside another job or another business, and that can obviously impact it. Just coming back to Marcus, for you, kind of 3 words that would best describe Maid, if you could give someone an insight.
If I'm talking to a customer, these are the kind of words I think I would probably use. I would say that we're consistent.
Yeah.
In the work we do, I would say that we are reliable, and I would say that we're trusted. And whilst Maid aren't the cheapest cleaning firm out there, and that's a fact, I'm not going to hide behind that. A lot of people are prepared to pay the extra money for again, the consistency, reliability, and the trustworthiness. So they're the kind of 3 things I do talk about.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, one that I hear time and time again is, from franchise owners, it's kind of that family feel. And I think that's something that we certainly try and convey, to our franchise owners and to our staff, is we want it to feel like, you're part of the family and you've got that support there at every step of the way. So it's definitely one of the ones that I would kind of, share that has been kind of used time and time again. Other questions that are coming through, do Molly Maid cleaners get paid more than others? Yeah, I mean, obviously, being the best employer in the industry, I think part of what we work hard to do is to ensure that they do get paid more than if they were working for another cleaning business. I think the other bit that people often forget about is that as well as the kind of the hourly rate, is they also get paid for their travel time. So that's the time in between cleans. And they also get paid their mileage as well, which often we'll see adverts from others businesses, cleaning businesses, offering maybe what is perceived to be a higher hourly rate, but then when you take into the fact that they don't get paid for the travel time, they only get paid for the time that they're actually in the clean, and they have to pay for their own travel costs. That's not a true hourly rate. So I would definitely say that yes, we do.
I'd add to that as well, Aaron, that we also provide holiday pay.
Yep.
And we provide pension contributions. So that they are it's a contract. These aren't agency staff. They're all contracted staff that are part of our business.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, very good point, Marcus. Someone else has said about 8 to 10% of what, and what does that mean in pounds? So that's obviously when I was referring to the profitability in year 2. Obviously, it would depend on the sales that's being generated. That's 8 to 10% of the annual revenue. So in a typical new start business, that would be in the region of that year 2 revenue. You'd be looking at anything between 115 to 120,000 pounds of revenue. So obviously, that's kind of 8 to 10% of that amount. But with the demand that we're seeing at the moment, we're actually seeing new franchise owners, achieving up to 200,000 pound sales in that second year. So obviously that is then 8 to 10% of 200, as opposed to the 8 to 10% of that 115 to 120. So I hope that answers that question. Someone else has said, as the owner, do you have to go out to every new client to make a quote, or does the system allow for new clients to get automated quotes? Maybe that's something you can answer, Marcus.
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, we look to go out to meet the customers because it's about building a relationship with them. So either my wife will go out and meet the customers and give a quote, but from time to time a customer will phone up and just say they want a one-off clean. So in that instance, we'll just quote them a price for what they want, really. So I'd say 80% of the time we'll go out and visit the customer, we'll give them an estimate. 20% of the time, if they're looking for a one-off clean, spring clean or a summer clean or an end of tenancy clean, we can quote them over the phone.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, again, I would echo that, is that, sometimes franchise owners feel that, actually going, not going out is a better use of their time. But I think, what you typically then see is a much lower conversion rate. So they don't get as many convert of those, because it's really hard to to kind of portray everything that Molly Maid can do just in a quote over email or an automated quote. I think part of our service being a very comprehensive high-end service, the best way to convey that is face to face during that meeting. So yeah, I think if you had 20 franchise owners on here, I think most of them, or 95% of those, would all say that the best way to do it is with a personal in-home estimate. And as Marcus said, it does allow you to build that rapport, which will tend to ensure that you get those customers for a longer term. Someone else's percentage of new franchise owners' success. I would say it's a really high percent. We do have the odd one that doesn't work. And I think that relates back to one of the previous questions. Usually when they don't work, it's because they're trying to do it alongside another job or another business, and they can't dedicate full time to it. Other reasons is often because for personal health or personal circumstances, but again, it comes back to they're not able to dedicate full time. I would say that success rate is over 90% for people who are able to dedicate the right amount of time to it. So I think that's, someone else has mentioned who does recruitment. I think maybe you missed the earlier point that Marcus made, but yeah, recruitment's done locally, but it is supported by us driving leads to you, but the actual activity of the interview and the recruitment is done locally. Does the investment include cleaning equipment? Yes. So if you've had a look at the brochure, there's two parts to the initial investment. So the 18,975, £10,000 of that is set aside to market the business. The other 8,975 covers all your things, like the creation of your own business plan, all of your cleaning equipment and supplies to launch your first team, all of your business documentation, flyers. So yeah, there's a really comprehensive package there that's included within that initial investment to get you basically up and running. How is the Molly Maid cleaning different from others? Maybe that's something you can answer, Marcus.
I think I always position Molly Maid as its service from the time a customer will phone up to the time a clean's completed. It's the whole end-to-end service. So from a cleaning point of view, there is a Molly Maid method and a methodology that you can go through if you want to take this any further. There's also some products that are Molly Maid specific as well. So it's probably the thoroughness of what we do, because the maids are taught a certain way of what to do, and we'll go out and we'll regularly check their work to make sure their standards are up to what they need to be. So using the product, using the equipment and using the training is all bolted into the all-round service.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, the only bits I would add to that really is that I think it also goes above and beyond just the clean. I mean, Marcus has touched upon the clean, and that's obviously one of the valuable parts of it. But it goes right back to that initial inquiry. And I think it's something that we really emphasize to the franchise owners. It's about professionalism. So it's right at the start, from how quickly the estimate gets answered to then the franchise owner arriving in their Molly Maid uniform to do the initial quote. Then it's the team arriving in the branded vehicle in their uniforms with their own environmentally friendly branded products. And then it's the customer care side after that. So it's the customer care activity. When you have a cleaner, you don't often get a phone call, the day after the clean to ask them, rate the service from 1 to 10 and what can we do better next time. So it's those kind of activities that aren't necessarily the core part of any cleaning service, but they're certainly a core part of the Molly Maid cleaning service.
And also, and Aaron, I'd add the familiarity as well, because the customers get to see the same team near enough every week, so
yeah,
know them as individuals. And a lot of our customers are old or need additional support, so the girls will often go out and do shopping for the customers. So it's a relationship as well, not just the fact that we go in and clean and come out. They actually build up a relationship with the customers, and that's what builds the reputation for us.
Definitely. Someone put here about how do you work out what to charge for each service. I mean, one of the things we do is we provide franchise owners with a price guide, which allows them to work out, what the price should be for a certain property based on the number of rooms that it's got. So I think that's something that Caroline used that when she's going through the estimates, Marcus.
Yeah, so I mean, you take that as a guideline, and you get a feel for what you should be charging in the area that you're working, really. Again, it's your business, so you'll be able to kind of work out what is the right cost, what should it be to cover my cost, etc. So we work from the guide that Molly Maid provide, and then we kind of tweak it for what we think is the right in our area. Yeah,
perfect. That's great. Someone's put here about the cars. So yeah, I mean, so as Marcus alluded to earlier, we have lots of relationships with external partners. So whether that be for payroll, whether that be for accountants, whether that be for the equipment and supplies, but yeah, also with the car. So we have a partner that we put you in touch with. The cars are usually done through a lease agreement. Yes, and the cars come Molly Maid logoed if that you're using our our broker that kind of can negotiate those lease cars for you. If you go your own route, then all you need to do is find a suitable navy blue vehicle, and then we can provide you with the logos to go on the car. So hopefully that answers that question. Yeah, investment, I think I just mentioned 18,975 plus VAT is the initial investment. There are financing options, and we will support you with all of that. So if that's something that you need, then yeah, we can help you through that. Again, someone else has mentioned about the car. Yes, it just forms part of your business cost. So it's just another, like your staff costs, like your cleaning equipment, it just forms another part of your ongoing business costs. Do you do any commercial cleaning, Marcus?
We do a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where we're based, on the area where we're based, there are some offices. So we do clean some of their offices, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I would say probably 95% or 95% of all our revenue comes from domestic cleaning. The other 5 to 10%, yeah, will be made up of smaller commercial properties. But I think typically because our maids work 8:30 to kind of 4:30 Monday to Friday, it's not really kind of cleaning the big office blocks. It's just kind of smaller offices, you know, doctors' surgeries, dental surgeries, things like that, that are kind of within the kind of working time of the maids. Someone else has put here, if I was to sign up today, how long would it take until I can open? A great question. I mean, we usually work on the basis of 6 to 8 weeks from the minute someone decides that they want to start to actually kind of start in the business. And there's 2 reasons for that. One, it allows you time to work through the checklist that we provide for doing all of the things that you need to do to set up. So yeah, all of the things like, you know, registering for VAT, registering to be an employer, you know, and we provide you with a full checklist of, you know, what to do and where to go to do it. The other aspect then is that we actually will start to market the business. So obviously we want to make sure that you kind of get the fastest possible start. So we start to do a lot of that in advance in terms of you know, putting your page up on our website to say the business is launching on this date. And then as we get closer to that date, we start to be more kind of aggressive in our marketing activities. So then we'll start the Google online advertising, the social media advertising. So, and any inquiries we get prior to the launch, we'll manage and book estimates for, so that when you do launch, you've already got customers to go and see it. And that's a very kind of typical practice. And, you know, most new start franchise owners have, you know, anything between 5 and 10 potential customers to visit in that first week. So yeah, there is a very kind of structured way that works really well and helps deliver that fast start. One's here, so how to staff top on products. So yeah, how, maybe you can answer that one, Marcus. So top up with cleaning products, I think the lady's meanings.
Sorry, what was the question?
So how do staff kind of top up cleaning products? Is that something you do weekly, and how does that happen?
Yeah, so we have an office, and the staff come into our office twice a week to replenish all the products in the car, all the equipment. So yeah, twice a week at a minimum, but a lot of the staff start from the office anyway, so they're there on a daily basis. So we can just top them up on a daily basis as and when needed. Yeah, perfect. I mean, obviously Marcus at the size he's at has an office. Most new start franchise owners will run the business from home. And it's quite normal for the team just to come in once a week, do the kind of changeover and top up of finances. So yeah, so that's quite normal. Does it work better in a more affluent area? I mean, all of our areas are based on having the same number of potential customers. So obviously we'd work with you to identify the particular area that you would operate in. But yeah, it doesn't, you know, it's about having a mixture of areas, because you obviously want areas that you're going to get your customers from and areas you're going to get your staff from. So each new start franchise will have a minimum, you know, 15,000 potential Molly Maid customers. So it may have like 50,000 total households, but we know that at least 15,000 of those fit the profile of the Molly Maid customer, and that's what makes that a viable area. In terms of finance, finance is usually done, and they will often lend up to 70%. Obviously, it's all based on individuals, their own credit rating, but yeah, it's usually 70-30 split. So if you're able to put the 30% in, then you can get the 70% through funding. So let's put how many of those customers make a booking. I mean, I can give you the fact that on average, a conversion rate from inquiry to customer is anywhere between kind of 27 and 30%. So of all the inquiries that you receive, yeah, approximately 30% of those, excuse me, will convert to customer. And I would say that Marcus is probably up there with that higher, if not even higher than 30%. So if you've got that, if you would know that number off the top of your head, Marcus, but I don't know, top of my head.
No, but it would feel probably about right, about 30%.
There or thereabouts.
Yeah. Marcus, how much do how much, how many cleaners do you have? How many people are working for you?
Currently, I've got 18.
Yeah.
That's a mixture of 5-day, 4-day, or 3-day staff. I've been down to 12. I've been up to 22, so it does fluctuate, but at the moment we've got 18.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, a couple more questions before we finish then. Customer profile. So I would say, I'll take this one. Typical customer profile is it's just, you know, someone who's hasn't got the time. So it's someone with you know, a reasonable kind of disposable income and a lack of time, you know, whether that's due to family commitments or busy work or so yeah, it's someone who doesn't have a lot of time in their hands but has a reasonable disposable income. So yeah, it's usually people in the mid to high income bracket. But yeah, often the perception is that, you know, it's kind of celebrities and footballers, and, you know, whilst we may have a few of those, I think typically it's just, you know, your average family, your average, you know, two people working, haven't got the time. You'd agree with that, Marcus? Yeah.
Do you know, absolutely. It's less so the affluent, I would say. It's more the young people, young families, working couples, working singles, some of the elderly, people recovering from illnesses, operations. There's no standard. It's everyone. And
Yeah,
it's not necessarily the rich and celebrities.
No, definitely. And also, I guess probably one of the biggest demographics to have is the elderly and those that, you know, physically can't do it anymore. You know, so again, it's either people that don't have the time or don't have the ability to do it themselves. A new start business will usually start with a team of 2. They may have a third person that can help to, you know, to kind of pick up if there was someone off sick, but yeah, usually it's a team of 2 that would start. And we would typically, for a new start, you'd guarantee them a set amount of hours. So usually kind of 15 to 16 hours as you're starting up, because you haven't necessarily got enough work for them, but you obviously want to be able to retain them as a new employee. So yeah, we usually guarantee them about 15 hours. And then, you know, but the business builds quite quickly. So, you know, within the first few weeks, you'll be able to hopefully cover those 15 hours with the revenue you're bringing in, and then it can grow from there. Someone put here, can you expand the working teams? Yeah, I mean, they all work in teams of 2, and that's kind of how the model works. And I think that's the most efficient way for them to work. But yeah, in a new start business, we would look to be having kind of 3 teams operational within year 1, and then a further 3 teams. So that's 6 teams in total by the end of year 2. That's the target. You may find you've got, you know, 1 or 2 less because you've got higher, you know, weekly revenue on those, just to make it more cost effective. But yeah, between 4 and 6 teams by the end of the 2nd year is our target. Okay, I think so one last question. Yeah, does each team have a car? Yes, that's how the model works. So each team of 2 you know, would run a Molly Maid vehicle. So again, that's all built into the operating costs. Is there any more questions? Obviously, appreciate we've been kind of just over the half an hour. So, well, look, thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and thanks for all the wonderful questions. It was a really interactive session, and I hope you found it useful. If anyone does have any more questions, you can certainly contact myself. I'll share my details on here. If anyone else has any questions for Marcus, then again, please send them through to me, and I will gladly forward them on to Marcus, and he can either contact you directly or it can be done through myself. But yeah, thank you very much for your time. And yeah, Marcus, thank you so much for giving up your time to talk to us today.
No, you're welcome.
Brilliant. Well, look, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.